Radio Rahim here in Los Angeles, Staples Center, LA Live with...
Hey, Fight fans! Michelle Joy Phelps here with Behind the Gloves.
As we like to call her, MJP.
MJP? That's right.
There's a lot on our minds, as I'm sure there is on yours.
Fight fans, we're here to talk about the topics.
I don't want to continue. I don't want to do this anymore.
Oh, God, you're so dramatic.
It's too hot. It's really, I'm really high up. I
really
have a thing about heights, and I just don't want to continue. Would you consider that quitting? I'm just saying, if I stop right now, I don't know, is that quitting? Or if I just don't want to continue? Are those two things different? This is the question that we have to put to the fans because it's the debate of the day. I don't know if there's a difference, but I do know that at some point someone last Saturday night just didn't want to do it anymore. Is that a valid reason to stop a fight?
Here's the thing. I don't have balls, okay? So I can't sit here and say, I know what... No, hold on. I don't know what it feels like to be hit down there, okay? I don't know. So it's hard for me to say that if you were to stand right here and if I was to come at you with a similar shot, that you may not be hurting too. So I can't speak on it. It's hard for me.
You can speak on it. And here's why. You don't have balls, which is probably the reason that we get along so well, because mine are huge. And the idea that you have to feel that pain to decide whether or not it hurts is irrelevant. That, I understand, is part of the debate. A lot of people are like, well, you didn't take the shot. You don't know. I didn't take the shot either. I don't know. It's not whether or not it hurt. I'm going to assume it fucking hurt. He got hit in the dick. That's gonna hurt. The question is that reason enough to say I can't continue? Because there's a huge difference between I can't continue and I don't wanna.
Well, okay, so let's go back to that moment, okay? So we know he got hit. It was an accidental low blow, and he was allotted 5 minutes.
If there was a situation that allowed for your legs to be numb, as Amir claimed that his were, is that a legitimate reason to say, hey, even now, let's give him 3 minutes. 3 minutes out of the 5 that I have allotted to me, I know enough now to know that I'm incapable of continuing.
Okay, this may sound like a dumb question, but I'm going to ask you because I just want to clarify for people who have been asking this question on social media. So obviously we know that prior to any fight, fighters are given instructions on what the rules are. Correct?
Sure.
So Amir's saying that he didn't know he had 5 minutes, and if he knew he had 5 minutes, he would have taken it and carried on. So my question is, isn't that something they talk about prior to a fight, or am I completely wrong in assuming that?
I wasn't even giving a briefing before the fight. Nobody came to me and had a conversation about the rules. I knew he had 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. Nobody who's been fighting for any significant amount of time doesn't know that rule, because every time somebody gets hit...
There are people who are saying, well, he didn't know. It's like, well, we kind of knew, and we were sitting...
I would more believe that he didn't know how much time had passed than I would believe that he didn't know 5 minutes was allotted to him. No one came over to Amir and was like, yo, make a decision. Mm-hmm. They had that conversation. To be fair, they were not even supposed to be talking during this break. Like, while you're in recovery, you're not supposed to be talking to your coach. You're not supposed to be getting any you're not supposed to have a conversation with your corner. It's not like time to figure out what to do next. It's time to recover or quit. So there are a lot of things I feel like that went wrong in that moment. And with all that I've said, and I know that I make jokes, but I'm not saying that he quit or didn't quit. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but I am saying there's a difference between can't and won't. And people have to understand that that's the conversation you're really having. And I'll even go further down this line and be like, if we want to debate whether or not it hurt enough to quit, yeah, that's a question for an individual. What people don't recognize is when they have this debate about, well, he got punched in the leg. Let me tell you something that only someone with balls that has been boxing, that has been sparring, that has been hit in the would actually know. And this, I can excuse you for not knowing. When you wear a cup, guys, and any fighter out there will absolutely agree that this is true, If you get hit on the side of the cup, not square onto the cup,
Yeah.
the cup is designed for you to get hit in the balls and protect you. If you get hit square in the cup, no, it doesn't feel great. But it's actually the best place to get hit if you're going to get hit low. The worst place to get hit is that area between your leg and the cup. Because what it does is the pressure from the punch slides the cup either left or right, depending on what side you got hit on, and it scissors your balls.
But isn't
And
that
that
exactly
is
where
what
he got
actually,
hit?
that's my point.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
exactly where he got hit. So not only does he get hit low, which hurts enough, whether it's in the leg or directly in the balls, but then he got hit in the worst spot possible, which I can forgive fight fans for not knowing if they've never been sparring, if they've never been hit low and had that situation with a cup. They probably don't know that not only was he hit low, he was hit in the worst possible spot low. What you have to decide is whether or not you can forgive a guy for saying, that's too much, I can't move my legs. If I can't move my legs, then I'm a sitting duck to take more punishment than from which I could defend myself. If that's the case, I don't call that quitting. I call that unable to continue.
Right.
But if that's the case, even if it is accidental, should you get TKO'd for that?
See, here's the thing. I go back and forth with it because you look at all of Amir's previous fights and you've never seen even a remote ounce of quit in him in the past. Even if he's got knocked down, he gets back up. I think that's one of the things that people have honestly admired about Amir Khan all these years. Yes, he may get knocked down. Yes, people might want to say a lot about him. But the one thing we can't take away from the fact is that he always attempts greatness. He always attempts at greatness, whether it's moving up in weight or calling out the big names. So I think it's hard. It's hard for us to sort of swallow what happens because we're just like, wait, I don't understand. Why could you not have at least tried to wait out the 5 minutes and then make the call? Why was it made prematurely? We don't know what could have happened 60, 90 seconds later. You know, you might have been able to feel a little bit better. Or, as others are saying, he was looking for a way out. He was already losing the fight up until that point, and he had been knocked down in the first round, so people are questioning if that was a way out for him. What do you think of that? Do you think it was a way out? Do you think...
All right. If he had more fight in him on Saturday night, if he felt like, as he said, hey, I was getting in some good shots, the fight was turning, the fight was getting interesting, I don't believe he would have stopped the fight. I'm willing to concede, as I just said, that if he couldn't continue, that he shouldn't continue. I'm not saying, hey, unless you put yourself directly in harm's way knowing you can't defend yourself, you're some kind of bitch. No, that's not the case. You be smart. You know whether or not you're able to defend yourself. At the very minimum, you have to be able to do that. It's a professional sport. Nobody's out here trying to get killed or concussed for nothing.
Right.
But if you make that decision that I can't go on, you damn sure better not be able to go on. And I have to say, after that decision was made, I didn't see him sitting down on the stool. He still was on his feet. He was walking around the ring. He was able to speak, coherently. I don't know that the decision he made when he made it, he would make again. I think after the fact, I'm not sure that even no matter what he says,
You think he
that
regrets it?
I think he regrets it because he is
The
a
outcome
warrior,
of- yeah.
because he's not afraid, and because maybe, and I'm not in this guy's head, but maybe he saw a way out for it with a reasonable explanation. And in that moment, you know what? This is enough. Saying I've had enough is not the same as saying I can't take any more because I can't defend myself. I don't necessarily think that should be a TKO, though. With all that I said, hey, man, I don't care if it's f***ing on accident or on purpose. If it's a foul and it's the reason the fight can't continue, then at the very minimum, we go to the scorecards. At worst, it's a no contest. There's no way the last punch landed should be a foul and that guy should win. At best, it should go to the scorecards, and then we just judge the fight up to that point. But a TKO, I think, is unfair to Amir. And the way both of us know him, I think we would agree that if he had that choice to make over again right now, we'd see a 7th round.
Right. And I think even after the fact, because if you notice, he's gone to Twitter to justify himself several times, which actually I feel like it only made things worse because he kind of sort of made new, what would be the word? Like he made new accusations in terms of like, oh, if I had known this, I would have done it like that. And it's like, okay, but it's done with, it's over with. Fight fans paid $70 US for this fight. I'm going to speak from somebody who's at home who just spent $70. I'm going to be pissed off. I was sat there watching, observing, obviously working. But for someone who spent $70 to buy that pay-per-view, ESPN's first pay-per-view, and this is how it ended without seeing it go at least the 5 minutes, without seeing that all options were exhausted before deciding, I'm going to be mad. So I do understand why people are upset and why everyone made the big fuss that they made. I completely understand and respect that because I would probably be sitting at home feeling the exact same way they did.
I'd say the only thing that's worse than a fight being stopped prematurely, either the ref jumps in too soon, the guy's corner throws in the towel when he really wasn't in trouble, a guy actually quits when he could continue, is when you get all the way to the end of a hell of a battle and you want to find out who is the victor, who deserves the belts, who is the best on that night, and some f***ing idiot is sitting ringside with two other of their fellow judges and blows the whole fight because either they're corrupt or they're blind or something is inherently wrong with boxing. And
AKA Adalaide Byrd.
Oh, what? Why would you bring her up? Clearly she's not in the sport anymore. She's destroyed a fight night and wrecked history.
In the mix for
stop.
potentially judging.
That's not true.
Canelo versus Jacobs.
It's entirely impossible.
Cinco de Mayo weekend in front of thousands of people in attendance and millions.
Well, I mean, certainly. Okay, maybe.
And Adalaide Byrd is very much still employed.
What, like doing amateur fights or like club fights and trying to work her way back up and
big
then
big fights.
I mean, because I mean,
life-changing fights. Fights that if you call the wrong, if you judge the wrong rounds or you give the wrong guy the round,
what you're saying,
you can ruin that person's life.
What you're saying, that would be like if she judged another Canelo fight or something. It would be like absolutely inconceivable. You know what I mean?
Why is this woman in boxing still?
Why the f*** are we in boxing still? If this is what boxing's about. Honestly, I feel like we need to like unified, coast to coast, continent to continent, global boxing, fans, media, fighters, promoters alike need to just put the f***ing brakes on. Like, this can't happen. Adalaide Byrd not only can't judge boxing again, but if you sit her ringside for a Canelo fight again, we have no leg to stand on in the argument that boxing is shit. If I was Canelo, I'd be like, get her ass out of here. I don't want her to take my victories, nor if she's not corrupt and just wildly incompetent, he's in danger too of coming on the other side of a terrible decision. And if anyone in boxing cares about this sport, the legitimacy of it, if you don't want to start covering WWE wrestling, then we need to get this cancer out of the sport. That's not hyperbole. Something like an Adalaide Byrd will eat away at the sport's legitimacy until it dies.
Yep. Because you want to know why? When people are tuning in, and we get a lot of casuals who tune in, right, on big fight nights, because you got everybody, the uncles and aunts and everybody and their mama want to go and make big barbecues. You're bringing over family and friends who maybe aren't exactly the most knowledgeable in boxing, and then they sit there, they're watching it, they're enjoying it. They're like, yeah, he won, or so they think. And then the results are called, and then you think, this is why people have a bad taste in their mouth when it comes to boxing. This is why people are turned off to the sport of boxing. This is why people, when you say, I'm a fight fan, they say, well, I'm not, because boxing's corrupt. This is why.
Everybody that's in boxing, every fight fan that tries to defend the sport at any time has all heard someone say, well, that's why I don't watch boxing.
Yep. Yep. I have so many people who always say that to me. This is what I think should happen, Rahim. I think that there needs to be repercussions for the judges. I think, so let's say you're Adalaide Byrd, right? You're going to sit your ass right there. There's going to be there's going to be a television in front of you.
Sorry, I was trying to follow your voice because I couldn't see you.
There's going to be a camera next to you filming you. And there's going to be a couple of people in the room who are going to be asking you to judge that round and explain why you gave that round to that particular person. And you have to be responsible. The camera's rolling and we get to see the footage. It is put out there for everybody, because I feel like if that was the repercussion to these sorts of things happening, people would be less likely to throw around because of that fact. They should be available to sit there and answer our questions. How did you see that round? How is it possible that you gave that round to him?
Beyond that, though, before we even have to get to that point, they should be sweating bullets knowing that they have to go in front of a commission of their peers or some kind of council that can review the fight based on their training and understand whether or not this round was called properly or wildly incorrectly. We can't say, oh, there has to be an accumulation of bad fights. No, fighters don't get an accumulation of bad fights. If you're not an undefeated fighter, your stock plummets. If you lose a fight that you shouldn't have lost, it doesn't denote that on BoxRec. I don't see asterisks next to decisions. No, these fighters live and die on the night, and so does the well-being and wealth and prosperity of their family and future generations. The history books record these things the way they are judged by the scorecards.
Well, let's talk.
Their
that's
careers
exactly like what
hang in the
happened with
balance.
Gennady Golovkin. That's exactly what happened with Gennady Golovkin.
Well, of course.
The first fight was clearly a win for Golovkin. Second fight, I can definitely see how, you know, it can go either way. But the first fight was look at what happened.
Right.
Now look, he's not getting the big fights like he should right now.
Right.
He should be the one who's fighting Danny, or I already fought Danny Jacobs, but I mean like getting an opportunity to rematch him and so forth. So you look at this and then you think, I don't want to use the words fall from grace, but it can be like that for a lot of them who have.
She cost him legacy.
Yep.
She cost him money, and I am certain. I don't know the guy well enough to say this for sure, but I know guys well enough to say this for sure who are competitive. She cost him a hell of a lot of nights of sleep. I'm getting emotional right now, honestly. This whole thing has really got me wound up.
It's true though. It really does mess up people's lives over, as you said, an incompetent judge.
Well, as the fighters live and die sometimes on the judges' scorecards on a Saturday night, we live and die by your stupid comments on our YouTube pages. Not all of you are stupid, but you know who you are.
Some of them have been very nice.
I said not all of them. Some of them have been very nice to you. Should we be changing the rule when it comes to continuing after you've been fouled? I don't even really care at this point. This thing has already been debated to death whether or not you think Amir Khan quit or not. But let's assume that he couldn't continue. Should he have still lost the fight after not being able to continue after a foul? And what should we do about Adalaide Byrd? Is this something that's acceptable? And if not, what's the fix? Let's hear from you.
And should we do the public shaming?
I feel like it's our job as journalists and observers of the sport that are allowed to have a voice, that we speak on these things, which is why both of these subjects are very touchy and we're willing to speak on them. But you as the fans have a collective voice that's louder than any journalist out there. And you guys get to decide what you're going to support and what you're going to tolerate. If you stop supporting and tolerating bullshit, maybe we'll clean some of the bullshit out of the sport. So for us right now, I believe Michelle would like to say,
bye, fans.
and then you've been here with Radio Rahim and MJP, breaking it down once again. Los Angeles, LA Live. Always pleasure to talk to you. For the first time in life, I'm going to say, I can't wait to read your comments.
No.